Unfortunately, your generation is growing up with a very different reality. You are growing up in a generation that is bombarded by lies. And many of your colleagues, many in your generation, do not know who to believe. They're so confused. They've heard so many different things, and they're bombarded by lies. So some of the lies they're being bombarded by, number one, is that there is no truth. That's moral relativism, that there's just competing narratives. Your truth is not my truth. Jews and Christians are hated by moral relativists because we believe there is truth and falsehood. The Bible teaches the opposite of moral relativism. One of the 10 Commandments is, do not lie, do not give false witness. Globalism says that all nationalism and patriotism is racist. Therefore, the national aspirations of the Jewish people, Zionism, is racist. Jews and Christians who are Zionists are accused of being racist and evil. But God is a Zionist. He is the one that chose Zion. He is the one that promised Zion, and he is the one that promised the return of the Jewish people to Zion one day. Also, to be Jewish or Christian is we're often accused of being a bigot or an extremist or an oppressor. The Bible's response to all of these lies is found in the Hebrew Bible, in the Tanakh, in the book of Isaiah 5:20-24. It says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes, because they have rejected the law of the Lord of hosts and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel." You see, the truth is found in the law, in his word. And when we reject that, we make ourselves vulnerable to the lies. Now, I understand I'm speaking to a very mixed audience, and there's probably a number of you who maybe even question if the Bible is true, and you're wondering why I would believe it, why I, this Christian, believe the Bible. I believe the Bible to be true because of Israel. I'll explain that in a minute, but there are millions and millions like me out there in the world. They are natural allies in your battle for truth, and I want you to get to know one of them today through my story. At the age of 17, I had that epiphany, that moment of faith, when my faith became very real, and I began to read the Bible. I knew it was true, but that's about all. I was actually quite dangerous at quoting the Bible because I understood so little of the overall story, but I knew it was true. So when I was 18, it was time to go to college. I decided to study biblical studies, not because I had any career path in mind, but I just wanted to learn the Bible so that I could base my life on it. So at the age of 19, I got the opportunity to study abroad. So where would I go but the land of the Bible? I knew nothing about it. I didn't know that Israel hadn't existed for 2,000 years. I had never met a Jewish person before. I knew as little as anybody can know. I knew so little, but I go there just for 6 weeks to study for the credit, and I will tell you, Israel rocked my world. My Bible came so alive. It stood up. It's like it took on flesh and bones, and it was just standing there in front of me, and you'd sit on the hillside and read the stories of what happened in that valley. And I came to understand I was surrounded by prophecy being fulfilled in our very age. And I came to understand that the Bible wasn't just truth, it was accurate. Down to the tiniest little detail, these prophecies were being fulfilled exactly as it was written. And it's life-changing, because then you understand the God of the Bible is faithful and true, and he's fulfilling the promises he made thousands of years ago. That I can base my life on. So when I tell you that Israel changed my life and my world, I can't say it enough, the change that it made. It set me on a path, a lifelong path of learning. I returned 2 years later, after I finished my bachelor's, to begin a master's degree in Jerusalem. I wanted more of that experience. And so I just arrived in August of 1980. I'll give you a minute. You can add up all the years and figure out how old I am. It'll take you a while to add up all those years. I arrived in August of 1980, and 1 month later, the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem was born, and I was standing there in the front yard of the three-room apartment they were dedicating. Had no idea that I was watching my own destiny unfurl that day with the beginning of this organization. But over the last 46 years, this organization has done humanitarian aid all around Israel. We have helped almost 200,000 Jews make Aliyah to come home to Israel. We've placed, I don't know, even probably close to 300 bomb shelters now in vulnerable communities. We sponsor and help run the largest home for Holocaust survivors in Israel. It's in Haifa. We do all of this and so much more over the decades to demonstrate Christian support for Israel in very practical ways. All of our assistance comes with the message, this is coming to you because of millions of Christians around the world that are praying for you, that are giving financially so that we can bless you today. Out in the nations, we have a presence in over 90 nations. We have a reach into 185 nations. I've been privileged to be the president for the United States branch of the ICEJ, and one of the things that I've invested most of my time in is education, building educational resources, and we also do advocacy. I may not be a superhero, but I am a fellow warrior in the battle for truth. If we do not believe there is truth to stand on, we become weak and ineffective. A loss of conviction leads to a loss of the will to fight or prevail. And this is why I want to encourage you in the truth that exists and the truth that we can stand on and the truth that we are to voice. Israel stands out in its will to fight, to prevail, to survive. I admire Israel so much for her strength and for the resilience of her people. My husband George is here with me today from Egypt. He grew up in Egypt admiring Israel because she was strong and she stood up to her enemies and stood for her rights. But a world that hates truth hates those of us with strong convictions who stand up against the lies. This is why, my friends, we need each other. We Christians need your help to reach our own young generation. We are losing them. We need your strength. We need your tools. We need your partnership. And you need our strength and our numbers. We need each other. In 2015, we started a network of Christian leaders so that we could join our arms and we could collaborate and unite our voice because we needed each other in our support of Israel. America's a very big country, and it was hard for any one organization to have the voice loud enough to speak to or on behalf of 50, 60 million evangelicals. So we formed the American Christian Leaders for Israel Network, and today it reaches tens of thousands of Christian leaders. Our first initiative in 2015, the reason we formed it was in order to write a letter to President Obama against the Iran agreement. That was not not appreciated by a lot of people, but we had 720 Christian leaders that signed a letter to Obama. We also ran a grassroots campaign and had 50,000 grassroots signatures on a petition to President Obama. We've done many things over the years, but after October the 7th, we did a letter that was sent to the presidents of 300 secular universities in America, and we called on them to adopt a definition of anti-Semitism, enforce it on campus, and provide greater security for their Jewish students. And it was signed by 120 Christian leaders in just 3 days. These are just examples of our collaboration as Christian leaders. Now, to my great surprise, what has happened since October the 7th is our collaboration, our network, has now expanded to include rabbis and Jewish leaders. A few months after October the 7th, we were approached by a couple of rabbis who said they wanted rabbis and pastors to come together and go on Capitol Hill and advocate for Israel together. They told us the moving story that in 1943, 400 Orthodox rabbis came to DC to advocate for European Jewry. They had some meetings on Capitol Hill, but when they went to the White House, President Roosevelt refused to see them, and he slipped out the back door. They left DC feeling that they had failed in their mission to raise the cause of the Jews of Europe. Today, they would no longer go alone. Just 2 weeks ago, we held the 3rd Israel Advocacy Day, and we had 500 rabbis, pastors, and Jewish and Christian leaders go on Capitol Hill and had 120 appointments on the Hill. My message to you today is let's work together. We have a generation to reach, and it's going to take all of us working together. I have here in the back today my staff team from the ICEJ. If you all want to wave, they would love to meet each one of you. They've got some of our free materials to give to you. I just want to mention we have one book here that we're giving out called Every Generation's Story, and it's the story of 18 different people. One of them is my story. It's a real easy to read because each chapter is just a different person's story of Christians that went to Israel and had that life-changing experience like mine and came back and dedicated their lives to this effort. If you want to get to know more what motivates Christians, why they're supporting Israel, we're just giving you out some of the materials. And another one is a little booklet on Christian Zionism. There's a lot of misinformation out there about Christian Zionism. If you have questions, please pick up one of the little booklets from my team. We are here to work with you to reach your generation. So let's roll. And Am Israel Chai.